Frequency season finale, Signal Loss. Really great season finale for the show. I'm still hoping that this show gets a second season. I think this is a really good, compact story that we find out isn't as compact as I thought it was going to be. I thought for sure that they would find out everything that was going on with Robbie. I can't think of his actual name, but the fake name is Robbie Womack. And I just thought it was interesting. I was like, wow, this did not go at all how I was expecting it to. And it was a great episode. It got really intense, especially like the last 5 minutes or so, where it was just like, I don't know what's gonna happen, who's gonna live, who's gonna die. One person did actually die. We find out that Gordo's dad was actually killed in the past, which really sucked. Megan, actually I guess two people died. Megan still didn't survive, which really sucked. I was like, man, she died in two separate timelines. And I was just like, that for some reason that just really, really sucked. I was like, wow, I can't believe that everything that happened with her character, and she still ends up being murdered by her own brother in the end once she finds out the truth. And it was just really sad watching that ending. And it was like there was just nothing that they could do. And she's gone after everything they did. She dies. They save her life by changing the timeline, and then she ends up dying again. And she was gonna die in the present as well because she had cancer. So it was just really crazy. It's like, man, that really sucks that her whole story was just it was just like she was dying, and that was pretty much it. So that was really sad the way that they did that storyline, but I really loved this whole episode. I thought it was great. Like, things started off really nice, like everything seemed to be perfect, and then things start to kind of steamroll. It's like, okay, well, first it starts off with the red pickup truck, and it's like, all right, this truck is here. Why is this happening? And that was pretty much it. Things just started to snowball after that. And Frank's story in the past got really interesting. Like, everything at the end was very interesting, and I'm curious, once again, if we get a season 2, what they're going to do with that stuff. But for him, it was the same thing. It was like everything seemed good. He knew that he was able to save Jules, and everything was fine. So in the past, everything was good as well, because they thought they got the Nightingale killer. And so he's able to be with his family again. They're bonding, and he's like the hero of the year and all this stuff for catching the Nightingale. Everything seems to just be working out fine. It's like, great, save my wife in the future. It saved our actual relationship right now. Everything's just really good. Even Moreno decides that he's not gonna, have an issue with him because he's like, you kidnapped the guy and you were gonna put a bullet in his head and all this stuff. And he's kind of like, yeah, we're here and the bad guys are actually out there. We just, we're not so different after all. And they had a really interesting scene early on in the episode that didn't have a lot of focus, but I'm assuming that was something for season 2 as well, where we get to see Moreno with his father, and he's just saying all this stuff like, you can't just sit here and not eat. You have to eat the food that the nurse puts out for you. I got a new job. I'm making more money so we can afford to have her here all the time. And it basically just ends, and his dad's like, it's because you're dirty, and that's it. So I don't know if his dad is like a cop, so he's ashamed of his son, or if he's just ashamed of him, just in the general aspect that he's a dirty cop that does illegal things. But it was very interesting, and it was such a short scene, and it didn't really go anywhere, and it was like, I kind of wanted a little bit more of that. So I'm hoping that that's a season 2 sort of thing, but I thought that was very interesting, and the way just the whole episode played out. We get to see Robbie as an adult, and he has a family and stuff, and it's just, his story was sad too, even though he was the killer. Obviously, it was his dad that started that whole thing. He may not have been the Nightingale killer, but he did kill Robbie and Megan's mother in front of Robbie, and that's what set him along like this horrific path as the Nightingale killer. And it was sad watching his path, and we see him as a father, and he's crazy, and it seemed like he hit his wife, but I guess not. He got mad at her in the beginning, but it seemed like his whole thing was like, we don't fight in any way, shape, or form, because like his son was being bullied and stuff because his grandfather was the Nightingale killer. So it was very interesting. He's like, we don't fight and stuff like that. And then he goes into the bathroom and he picks up the book and he's freaking out and he's shaking, going through these like torn up pages. And it was just messed up. I was like, man, he like destroyed this guy's entire life. And he kind of rebounded, and he knew that he was kind of slipping away because he's like, I don't know if I can, save myself if I don't have Megan. And it was kind of funny when he said that, and his dad was like, basically like, are you freaking kidding me? Like, I said, I've been riding in here for 20 freaking years, and now you want to screw it up? And I thought that was kind of funny, but it was still all his fault. Like, he the deacon he just ruined their lives entirely, and it was just really crazy going through this where he may not have been the Nightingale killer, but he is the sole responsibility because of his insanity that caused Robbie to go nuts like that. And it comes down to the end, and they kind of change the timeline again when Frank goes to talk to them, and that's when it's revealed to Megan, and then Robbie ends up killing her, and we find out in a different scene that he stole the key to the house when they have it where he leaves to go meet Robbie, and he yells at Raimy, and he's like, hey, put the spare key back. And she's like, I didn't take it. And I was like, crap, he tricked him. So of course he goes there and he finds Megan, and Robbie's at the house, and it was just a very intense ending. And then it seemed like everything was going to work out. I'm like, okay. Frank calls Moreno, and he's like, after the bar scene, he's like, hey, I'm here to help, even though we're not friends and stuff. And he mentions, like, we're 3 blocks away. And he's like, I'm on it. He goes outside. And then Maricela comes into it. And I was wondering what was going to happen, because she called Frank, and it's like, whatever happens next. And I think she's like, I just want you to know that we're cool and stuff. And I was like, I don't know what that means, but it ain't good. And that was early on in the episode, too, so I kind of forgot about that little phone call. And she just shows up at the end, and she shoots Moreno, and we don't even see what happens with him. I assume that he does end up surviving because they're going to, season 2 probably keep that storyline going. But I just thought that was interesting. I'm like, alright, things are already intense. We don't know how this is going to play out. Maybe it'll be a happy ending, maybe it won't. And then it's like, alright, well, Moreno's 3 blocks away based off of the line. That's nothing. He can get to the house, stop this dude, no problem. And then he gets shot in the back. He gets shot twice, and he's just left there to die. As Maricela gets in the car with some random person, and they take off, and he's just stuck. He's just stuck there, like, with his car door open. And I was just like, wow, this is insane. And so, of course, that leaves Robbie more time. That's when Gordo's dad comes in, even as Raimy tries to, get on the ham and, warn her dad about what's happening. And then she realizes, she's basically talking to them while they're in this crazy situation. And it was just nuts, and she had no idea what was happening. It's like, I don't know, he's right there with my mother as well as me and Gordo, and she knew somebody got hit, and it was Gordo's dad. So we find out that he was actually killed, and she's freaking out, and they have music playing and stuff, and it's all dramatic, and she looks at the house and all the lights are off compared to the party just before. Excuse me. And it was just really well done, and especially with him escaping, I was very curious what we were going to see, because I'm like, alright, well, we know that she didn't die, but we don't know what happened in between there. So there's still things that we could see in the present that we haven't seen yet. Like, yes, she survived in this specific moment, but anything can happen in between there. So we really didn't know what we were walking into. It was like, yes, she's alive there. Maybe she's still alive, but who knows? Like, everything was dark. He didn't see anybody. So if she did end up dying later, obviously she still didn't meet her fiance. They wouldn't be having the engagement party, all this other stuff. And I just liked the way it played out. Everything was fine. Satch saved the day on this one when he hit the truck, and he was able to knock it out, put out a commission and get them to get to the car and help Frank get to the car. But I loved it. I thought it was a great ending. It's a nice happy ending where her mother's still alive. Ultimately, they do what they planned. Unfortunately, of course, Robbie is still the Nightingale killer, and technically, he's still out there. And we get that ending sequence of him walking past the house, and he just looks over, and that's where it ends. So I thought it was a great way to end the season. Not as much, not as final as I thought it was going to be. Like I mentioned, I think it was in the last episode, I read an article where they're like, yeah, even if the shows don't get season 2s, they'll have like definite final episodes. They'll have like a sense of closure. And the way it ended, I was like, that's definitely not a sense of closure. That's a typical TV show cliffhanger where the guy who they could have caught, and it definitely would have been final, and it could have gone to something else afterwards, and the other minor stories would have been lead-ins or teasers for season 2. But that was like a straight up cliffhanger ending, like any other TV show where the main story of the entire season is still going into the second season. And I was like, that's not final. That's like a generic cliffhanger. But it was a great cliffhanger. I can't deny that. So that just makes me hope even more that we do get a season 2 for this series, because I thought it was a great finale. I've enjoyed the series from the very beginning. I thought with the story that they've had, the crazy twists and turns, I feel like they call like 5 different people at this point that were supposed to be the Nightingale, but they had like the original guy that they thought was the Nightingale killer, and he was crazy, and then they thought he was the Nightingale even in the present because of like some random murders that he did. And it was just great, like the way they did that. And it's like, oh, he's the Nightingale killer. Then it turns out he's not the Nightingale killer. Then we get the deacon is the Nightingale killer. And then it's not even him, it's his son. And, you know, the chaos of this whole episode. So I really loved it. I thought it was a really great finale for the show. Looking forward to season 2. I really hope. I've been looking up news like all over the place, and I still don't know if we're getting a season 2. So I am still really worried about it, but I'm hoping that CW, I mean, all the shows they have, I feel like they can put their money behind this. I never watched No Tomorrow, so I don't know how good or, you know, bad that show is. But I think this is a really good show. I think they've done a great job with this one, and I hope it gets a season 2. Love this finale, of course. We'll love to know what you guys thought about it, so please comment below. Let me know your favorite parts, least favorite parts. And I actually want to know, what was your favorite part of this season? You know, whether we get a season 2 or not, we had some really great stuff in this, some great twists and turns. Especially, there were like, I think 3 episodes where they really did it. And I think this was one when they, you know, talk about the Megan thing, and then they flash back to Robbie killing her, and then it alters exactly what Raymy's going through when she's talking with her mom, and that's how she figures out exactly what's happening. And they also did it in the past when they caught the first guy they thought was a Nightingale killer, right when Raimy was about to kill him. And I think those were probably my favorite parts, like where it was like really shocking moments. And they did it in the middle of the episode, like right after she killed the deacon the first time. And it was just really good. Like I actually like those moments. The other 2 that I mentioned, I like a little bit more because they were like shocking revelation moments. And she was going nuts with that first guy that she thought was the Nightingale killer. So I just, that, you know, that was the first time, and she still went through with that when she finally found the deacon. So those 2, the first time they did it, and this very last time when she was just in a simple conversation and she realized that it was Megan, and then it's like poof, Megan's erased from the timeline. I know what happened. So those were probably my 2 favorite moments in the whole season, just because of how tense they were and how dramatic it was, either for Raimy or just the revelation in general. So those are probably my favorite moments, but there's a lot of good stuff in this whole season. But like I said, we'd love to know your favorite parts of this season, and of course what you guys thought about the finale. So please comment below, let me know, and thanks for watching.